At this point in the rookie draft process, I've gone through a bunch of guys that I think are going to be tremendous values where you're getting them in rookie drafts. For a long time, it was guys like Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. Still love the guy, and I love guys like Jalen Polk as well. I think he's a great value. Marshawn Lloyd out of USC, potentially great steal as well. I still like all these guys right here, but none of them touch Johnny Wilson out of Florida State University here. Johnny Wilson is someone that I've honestly been overlooking for too long now, and I'm here to take some accountability today. Accountability needs to be taken because not only do I believe in this guy, I noticed that he is the 504 in 10-team leagues. This man is basically undrafted in every single Dynasty rookie draft right now. And I want to get into why he is the best value in rookie drafts today. Because, like I said, you're getting him undrafted. So let's go ahead and discuss this guy. And of course, this is a new channel exclusively for Dynasty. So please go down there, drop a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel to show your support if you get value from this video today. So I want to do this first off, why he is going so low. I think that will help answer the question into why he's such a great value ultimately, is to go over why he is going so low in Dynasty rookie drafts right now. So the first problem here with a guy like Johnny Wilson is he is 23 years old. So he is coming in at an older age at the wide receiver position. And typically in rookie drafts, this is going to shoot guys like Johnny Wilson down the list here because he's not a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old like a Marvin Harrison Jr. is, like a Malik Neighbors is. He doesn't have the age factor on his side. Now, I did a video a couple weeks back discussing basically trying to expose the biggest myth in fantasy football and specifically in Dynasty rookie drafts, which is to worry about the age of a wide receiver in particular, because the age discussion is okay with me at the running back position. They have a shorter shelf life. When you see guys like Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams play well into their 30s at a high level, I don't care about age nearly as much as I do with running backs when it comes to wide receivers here. So that's his first problem, is he's 23 years old here. Now, this guy also had, a bit of a rocky college career. He started out at Arizona State University, and he was a redshirt freshman. He still played some in his redshirt freshman year, but he obviously didn't do very much. And then his sophomore season was a big disappointment there as well. So he ended up transferring up a school to FSU, Florida State University, after his sophomore season. Now, he was a redshirt sophomore breakout. So if you're keeping track, he broke out the first year with Florida State, technically his third year on the field in college football here. But here's the ultimate problem here. He never crossed 1,000 yards receiving in any college season. That's not a very good start to a prospect at the wide receiver position in a very strong wide receiver class right here. He was also, in many people's eyes, the wide receiver 2 behind Keon Coleman in 2023. So it was actually closer than you may think. They actually were within basically 200, 100 yards of each other in 2023. But Johnny Wilson was not getting as many targets and as many opportunities as a guy like Keon Coleman was. Now, I think the ultimate problem here, and this may sound ridiculously irrelevant, in his 4 years on a college football field, he didn't compile 10 touchdowns as a receiver. In 4 years, never compiled 10 touchdowns. And I'm not saying in one season. I'm saying collectively in his college career, he didn't have 10 touchdowns. Why is this particularly important here? Because it's a very specific thing that I don't usually harp on when it comes to wide receivers in particular. The reason I harp on it is because this dude is a freak. If you don't know who Johnny Wilson is, this is one of the freakiest prospects I've ever seen. He's 6'6", 231 pounds, and has a 37-inch vertical. Put those tools in the red zone. And he has 10-inch hands. So this guy has sure hands. He's massive, an immediate mismatch for any defensive back, and he's got ridiculously long arms with a 37-inch vertical. How is he not a red zone threat at the highest level? If he did nothing else, why did he not have 10 touchdowns in 4 years? He should be a red zone freak. That's why I harp on this right here. So why is he going to be the best value in Dynasty rookie drafts right now? Let me tell you something right now. If you know me, from my main channel, Football Fanalysts Network, you'll know that I don't fall into the big wide receiver trap. I think it's a trap. I don't fall for big wide receivers when they're coming out of college because a lot of times bigger wide receivers have a limited route tree. They're limited to 50-50 deep balls. They're limited to shallow crossers. They're limited to wide receiver screens. They can't run a full route tree, and the reason is because when you are so big, your center of gravity is so much higher than a wide receiver who's 5'11". So basically, whenever a wide receiver who's 5'11" is breaking down at the top of his route to break out of his route quickly, he's able to do it at a much quicker pace, and it's also way less stressful on his lower body because his center of gravity is lower. When you get a guy of this size who's 6'6", 230 pounds, trying to break in and out of routes like a 5'11", 6'1" wide receiver does, it's much harder. And if they do it well, unfortunately, it's much more stressful on their body. Johnny Wilson is one of the most unique prospects I have seen in about 5 years. Darnell Washington at the tight end position out of Georgia was very unique last year. Johnny Wilson is right there with him, possibly even more of a specimen to me. Let's run him through my wide receiver prospect model. If you don't know, this is what I use on every single wide receiver in every single rookie draft. And it's helped me get a good hit rate on mid to late round guys specifically, such as Jaden Reed, Tank Dell, Josh Downs, the list goes on. The top guys are the top guys. This prospect model helps me find deep diamonds in the rough. So let's go through the prospect model with him. Now, the first thing that I'm looking at here is when was the college breakout year? So essentially what this is going to tell me is how much adjustment time a wide receiver needed at the college level to be able to break out and become a key contributor to their college football team. Because if you see a guy who's got 400 yards receiving, that's not a key contributor. Key contributor, 500, 600 yards. So as I said earlier, if you remember, he was a redshirt sophomore breakout. I have trouble with this because it's like you're technically a junior year breakout, especially since he had playing time in his freshman season. I have trouble with a redshirt freshman breakout. So he gets a B- grade, whereas a junior year breakout would get a C+ grade right here. Now his film breakdown is the part that I want to hone in on here for two reasons. The first reason is because this is the most important thing when it comes to how I am ranking and how much I believe or don't believe in a wide receiver prospect. Because I am looking for specific things on film. I am looking for specifically how many layers a wide receiver has in their game. How diverse is their route tree? Can they run every route in the route tree, or are they limited, like I said earlier, to deep balls or maybe some shallow crossers? The guys who have more diversity of their game, the less likely they are to bust at the NFL level and be positive contributors to your fantasy football team. When you see his film breakdown grade, you'll be shocked to learn that he's my wide receiver 15 in this class. He got an A- film breakdown grade. Let me tell you the reason why. What makes Johnny Wilson so special is with bigger wide receivers, as I discussed earlier, you are typically not seeing these guys be crisp route runners. A 6'5", 6'6" wide receiver who's breaking off routes at 10 yards and crossing the middle of the field, crossing to the outside of the field, and getting separation because of crisp footwork is unbelievably rare, and Johnny Wilson does exactly that. The way I describe Johnny Wilson to people is he is very much an Antonio Brown, Josh Downs type of receiver trapped inside of Dorial Green Beckham's body. Who remembers Dorial Green Beckham? He was around the same size as Johnny Wilson. He didn't turn out to be anything. Why? He wasn't much of a route runner. And it's not his fault because guys his size are not. Johnny Wilson is so freaking unique. That's why he got an A- grade on the film breakdown. Now, the next thing I'm looking at here is the college target share. And specifically the year that I want to see is 2023. So this is the year, obviously, where these players are coming out of college. And theoretically, should have had their best, most productive seasons in college. And this was the case with Johnny Wilson, but his target share was still a weaker 16.4%. That's a C- grade for me. I'm typically looking for 20 and above, maybe 18 to 19 if we're pushing it here. Now, obviously, like I said earlier, he was the wide receiver 2 in this offense behind Keon Coleman, so I won't knock him too much for that since Keon Coleman is probably going to go higher than Johnny Wilson is in the actual NFL draft. And the last thing I'm looking at here is the NFL draft capital. The only reason this matters to me is because it's going to determine how short or long of a leash a player is going to have at the NFL level. So, for example, a guy like Quentin Johnston, he was a first-round pick last year, so the team can't just throw him to the dirt. Whereas a guy like Puka Nacua became super successful his rookie year, but what if he didn't? They probably wouldn't give him the same opportunity that the Chargers are willing to give Quentin Johnston again. Obviously, we don't know this. We will not know this for another week. So we'll have to wait and see where Johnny Wilson is going to go in the NFL draft. But here's my ultimate point here. The reason why I believe Johnny Wilson is such a spectacular value in Dynasty rookie drafts is because not only is he going nowhere, he's not being drafted. In most Dynasty rookie drafts, he will be a waiver wire pickup if you have any interest. But because of the traits I highlighted in this film breakdown, you do not see receivers of his size breaking in and out of routes as crisp and as quickly as he does. He has so much more versatility than anybody could imagine a big wide receiver having. Does this translate to fantasy football success? Most of the time, it does. When you have a solid route runner who can create separation off of footwork, that stuff translates into more targets because the quarterback is finding him open more often. Johnny Wilson, if he goes to the right team, I believe can get 5, 6, maybe 8 targets immediately in his rookie season. If he stays in the pick 35 to 55 range, he is a priority waiver wire pickup after the NFL draft and after your Dynasty rookie draft. Because even if he doesn't come out starting or even contributing to an NFL team right away, the best thing to do with this guy is to just pick him up and throw him on your taxi squad. Won't be taking up a roster spot, but the upside with this guy is tremendously high. Do not take this one for granted here. And I'm evaluating the film on a lot of sleeper wide receivers in this Dynasty rookie class over on my Patreon. So join the Patreon today if you want to see me evaluate some more Dynasty rookies at the wide receiver position.